I had a deviated septum, and they wanted to do surgery. And he was like, the doctor comes in.
Fix it.
I can fix that crook in your nose. And I was like, no, I'm good. He was like, you should really fix the crook in your nose.
You wanted it
I was
bad.
like, hey, buddy, I like my nose. And he was like, yeah, it's not a great nose. I was like, who is this guy?
Shane, we're fucking rolling.
We're fucking on already.
Damn.
The last 10 minutes, bro.
What the hell?
How many times have you broken your nose?
3.
Same.
Nice.
Yeah, good.
All right,
Not good, but
yeah. Emily, are we live? Guys, we're live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Hey, we're here.
All right, Kevin, welcome
Hey.
Yes.
Yeah.
to the Hopeaholics podcast.
Yeah.
Kevin, you are a Hopeaholic.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you are.
Yes.
Now, Kevin, I want to ask you just off topic quickly.
Yeah.
I found you and I contacted you, yet you replied to her. Why is that? I'm joking.
Wait, hold on.
No, I'm
Is
just
that
saying.
true?
Is that
If you look
true?
at my Instagram, I go back like 2 months. Do you know what I mean? She goes back like 2 weeks, and I'm just
Yeah.
wondering. You never cover.
I went to the one that was the first.
The sandwich.
Oh,
That's fine.
honestly,
We went to the top of the feet.
it was
I'm just
Yeah.
wondering.
it was the pink hair.
It was the pink.
It was the pink.
Okay, I was just.
I'll
I
just-
thought it was something. I just wasn't sure what.
Prioritize.
Good Lord,
Shit, bro.
Shane.
All right.
You know, he probably
then-
No,
already
that's-
followed. He probably already followed
job.
Natalie Eva Marie.
I was a WWE fan. Like,
Yeah.
it was,
Well, and what happened
mean,
was
dude.
when they
This
brought
is
you
gonna
up, I
get
went, no,
great.
no.
It was a
I went,
big
no.
deal. Come
So
on.
here's what happened. They say, hey, this guy Kevin's coming on. Kevin who? The guy from the Golden Age Bridge. I go, no, he's a dick.
oh my God, it was terrible. No,
He
sir.
didn't fucking respond to
No,
me.
sir. Oh,
That's hilarious. Wait, so you reached out to him. I didn't know this.
you did.
I
Here we go.
Wow.
Receipts.
I didn't
We don't
even-
have to do all this.
Oh, yeah, we do.
You gotta do it.
Oh, yeah, we
on.
do.
Shane is clearly carrying something because this is the first time I'm hearing you be a salty dog.
October 30th.
October of what year?
Last year.
Yeah, keep. Oh, come on, Shane.
No,
I thought he replied back to you.
I like
He
this.
did reply.
I like
He
this.
did reply.
This vibe in the room. This is good.
Yeah, this is how we roll.
It's
We're
full
not,
of love.
we're not
Yeah.
Humorous.
there's
Yeah,
really
humorous.
no it's humorous. There's really no really truly actually no ego in this room.
No.
Yeah. I love
Except
it.
for Natalie's.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
And it's just a little, we've been chipping away at
Yeah,
it.
so it's getting better.
Yeah, we've been chipping away
She's
at
been
it.
eating a lot of doses of humble pie
Yeah.
lately.
You
Yeah.
guys-
Humble.
Wow.
Humble.
Lies.
Humble. Humble.
But this is the thing. This is why it
I
works.
watched the show. I know.
Thank you.
I-
It's just like I walked in immediately when I was a guest, and it was like I was talking to my brothers.
Yeah.
Boom.
So now it's like I'm back.
We are
at-
brother.
Yeah.
We are brother and sisters.
Yeah, the episode where you were a guest. Very
It's
good.
fire.
Very
Oh,
fun.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
just my second
Yeah.
favorite episode.
And because I don't know the sequence. So when that happened, how did this happen? Like the
It
The
happened
truth-
because of that.
immediately.
The truth is that we really, really enjoy her husband,
Okay.
and
Yeah. He's a
Jonathan.
great guy.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great guy.
And if
Without
we
him,
wanted to
she's
spend,
nothing.
What did you say?
Oh,
What'd you say?
God, I didn't even mean that.
Wait, what'd you say
I
with
said
that?
without him, she's nothing.
It's
if you had
facts.
self-esteem issues,
Facts.
we'd be in trouble.
Oh, I know, right?
Right? Come on.
Because they
Holy
don't know
cow.
I go home at night and I'm like,
You're
God,
like-
why? God. No,
oh,
but
she can dish it out.
Yeah, she could.
Oh, okay.
She left me hanging with
Fair
a
enough.
fish breath.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's what
Waited a full 24 hours before she was
sticky
like,
breath.
you know,
The
you had fish breath.
But it was only fish breath to me and Peter.
Thank
one of
God,
the other,
right?
Yeah.
You would've-
I would have never let him continue on
Yeah.
if he had to engage with people.
Yeah.
So by the time we had to engage with people, he didn't smell like fish anymore.
My wife is Filipino, and she always says when I have
Good for you.
kiki in my teeth, that's like something in your teeth.
Oh yeah.
Kiki, they call it, and it's and so it's often.
No, but okay. Speaking of that instance, so one of my biggest things, even though like you feel embarrassed for that person,
If you're a real
I get
friend-
so totally.
If you're a real friend, you tell the person.
Yes, I get so mad
yeah.
if I go to say to the restroom and then I'm washing my hands. I look at myself and I'm like, "What in the heck?" I've
Or-
had a big ass something in my tooth.
Something
A
great.
black Because like I'm blind now at 50 years old. I can't see.
Who designed nose and ear hairs for us? Why does that
It's not
have to-
cool. Well, here,
like,
well, they designed
hit
it that
40
you
hit
get
40,
more.
You hit
Yeah.
40.
Your eyes go
and
bad.
Ears and nose hair just come out of nowhere.
And your eyes go
Whose
bad.
idea was that?
Yeah,
I know.
it's true.
It's ridiculous. But yeah. So I
Yeah.
became,
So welcome to the
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Kevin.
welcome to the Hopeaholics
Yeah, Kevin.
podcast.
yes.
That
Very
was, I think
excited.
that was the best intro, not intro. That's fantastic. I
We
love
don't have
No,
an intro.
no
People have
need.
been trying
No
to get us
need.
to get an
No,
intro,
don't
but
do
we've
it.
never had an
it.
intro.
Chill. This is way better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better.
So we
It's
just
way less like intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't have, here's the thing.
don't have to
We're
live up to
we're,
something.
we're addiction and mental health podcast.
So we're a mess.
Right? We are truly a mess. And every other one that I've seen is so serious.
Yeah.
And they're like
On that note,
like that.
like that.
So
ASMR.
everyone they're like, so today on the Hopeaholics podcast, we have Kevin Hines who has survived.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Don't- Come on, dude. Like you cannot even do that.
That's pretty
if
good,
you
actually.
Yeah, exactly.
there you go.
Really good. Wow, I am wired. Damn, hey, who's this?
Mess. But
So they're boring like that, and I don't want to be boring.
No,
I
let's not
just
be boring.
don't want to
Let's
be
not.
boring
I think-
because we're the Hopeaholics,
well,
man.
I think what I like about it is that as an individual, I am a million personalities. So instead of coming in here and just being this like one professional something, you can be however we want, because all of us on any given day are feeling, regardless of what's going on in our lives, you show up every day a little bit different. I mean, we
Yeah.
all hustle and we all have the same like discipline and what we want to accomplish, but that's different from sitting down at the table. So it's like we want our guests to feel just as normal
Yeah.
as us.
Normal.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Abnormal. Just
or I guess abnormal. Yeah, because
You don't cough right into the mic next time, please. Jesus
because we're
Christ.
goofy. We're you know, we can, and
When
obviously
you
we're
said you
gonna
have
get.
1,000 characters, you know what vision came to me? Carrie. I don't know why.
It's because of, didn't Carrie have red hair?
Yes, and
Yeah.
she was covered with blood, and she had
Yeah.
all this different person. Oh, was that Sybil with the 8 personalities?
So I was like
Anyways.
too though, because sometimes we come in and if it's like depending on the guest vibe, right?
Yeah.
When there's a female, I fully let her lead a lot of the times, because it's just that much easier, and then I pipe in whenever I pipe in, and then Shane
Whatever makes sense.
Yeah.
Shane
They
always-
basically were missing a piece to the puzzle.
Yeah.
They're
and
missing
they
a piece
met
of the
me.
pie.
Yeah.
And,
And
now
then
it's
they met
now
me.
it's blowing up
now
now.
it's
Yeah.
filled-
This
now it's fulfilled.
podcast is
We're excited.
blowing
I know it is.
up,
It's incredible.
and it's fun.
It is fun.
So again, welcome to the Hopeaholics podcast, man. We
Hey, cheers.
super,
Cheers.
super,
Cheers.
super grateful.
Cheers. Oh, yeah. Cheers.
Super grateful to have you on the show today.
Yeah.
Brought us an amazing book, The Art of Being Broken: How Storytelling Saves Lives. I love this. I love
Yeah.
the title of this book because
Thank you.
this is what this podcast
That's what
is.
you guys do
Yes, it is.
all day
That's
long.
what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Stories are 22 times more memorable than statistics, facts, or PowerPoints. And when a story is being told, whether in a podcast, whether on stage, whether in a film, or in an article, in a written piece, in a book, the people who read, watch, and view and listen and see those stories, their brains sync up, their neural pathways sync up with the storyteller, and they feel empathy. And then when they go home and they are in a time of pain and struggle and strife, and they're battling inner demons, they can recall upon that story and the hopeful messages from it. And oftentimes their brain goes back to that place, scientifically speaking, and they go, if they can do it, I can too. I can survive my pain. I can find a way to thrive. It's
Yeah.
incredible.
That makes sense.
Memory recall. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that is not a statistic. That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah. Let's go back, because obviously,
Back?
you know,
Back
yeah,
where?
back in time,
Yeah.
in the sense of you as approaching to the decision of you going out to the bridge, before you decided to take the jump to end your life?
Yeah.
Because I think for me too, it's heavy in the sense of I'm from the Bay Area, so I know exactly where the incident occurred. And like I was saying off air, like I remember seeing this amazing video of you telling your story, and it was like so beautiful and so touching. And it's important because I feel, especially in this day and age, there's so many people that suffer those demons and those thoughts that creep in because life is hard and things are going on, and you're obviously able to speak from a completely other place because of what has happened. So I guess my question is, what took you to that place to really go through, to really do it?
I was in at the time, the greatest despair I'd ever experienced. I felt broken. I had at 17 been diagnosed with bipolar depression, the same brain disease both my biological parents had before me, before they ever got into drugs and alcohol and died that way. And so I was self-destructive and self-loathing. I was hearing voices in my head, auditory hallucinations telling me I had to die. I had heard voices in 4th grade, but couldn't quite understand what they were saying. And I don't remember ever telling anybody because I was afraid of what they would say or do if I did. And the voices went away, and then they came back at 17 and a half years of age, where I had a complete mental breakdown on stage. I was a theater kid in front of 500 people, 1,200 people. The theater was packed. It was a sold-out show, opening night of the show How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. I was playing a character they called Gatch. And that day, I started to believe that 1,200 people were at any moment coming to kill me. I thought they were going to all rise simultaneously, rush the stage, and end my life. So I ran off stage, I ran to the lobby, and I was met by the theater director. And this is where, I want to go back so you understand the context. So this is where the theater director, who was, by the way, a primary alcoholic, and he would end up, my favorite teacher, my mentor, my hero, my friend, a second father figure to me, he would end up taking his life.
Oh, wow.
He was the first person of 17 people I would lose to suicide in my life, including 2 birth family members. And I had that breakdown, and 2 years passed where I was haphazardly battling bipolar depression, but not really. You know, I was in denial. I don't have this disease. I don't want it. I don't like it. Fuck it. I was a WCL wrestling champion. My football team, after I was on the team, went to state. Like we were successful. What is wrong with me? And at 19 years of age, after lying in therapy every day, after bullshitting my way with my parents, my family, and friends, after pretending to be okay, on September 24th of the year 2000, I sat at my desk in my room and I penned a note to everyone I loved. And I told them I had to go. I told them I loved them. I told them I was sorry. I asked for their forgiveness. I put the note in my shoulder bag by the door. And on the 25th of September 2000, 23 years ago, I walked into my father's room. And the reality was, like, my dad or my mom or anybody I knew who loved and cared for me would have moved heaven and earth to keep me safe from myself that day if I just asked for help. They all would have done it. But I couldn't see that, and I felt like I was the greatest burden they'd ever experienced. I felt like I was their Achilles heel. If I was just gone, then they would be happy again, and they would be free from me causing them pain. And I walked into my dad's room. He was lying there wearing his breathing apparatus, sounding like Darth Vader snoring. And I startled him awake, and his immediate reaction was, "Kevin, what's wrong?" And I lied. I said, nothing's wrong, Dad. I just wanted to tell you that I love you. In my mind, it was the very last time. Very last time. And he said, well, Kev, I love you too. But it's 6 a.m. I don't have to be working until 9. Go back to bed. And he put his mask back on his face, and he fell soundly asleep as quickly as he had awoken. He had no knowledge that I walked around on the other side of his bed, sat on the carpeted floor in his room, and cried and rocked myself back and forth, begging myself to tell the one man who loved me the most in the entire world the truth. All the while hearing the voices saying I had to die, that I had no choice, that it was inevitable. And I walked back into my room at 6:30. He enters my room at 7. He says, Kevin, I'm worried about you. Why don't you come to work with me today? There it was. My opening, my opportunity, my chance. Tell him everything right now. I buried it.
That was God.
Yeah. But I buried it. I said, no, Dad, I have to be at City College today. He said, Kev, we'll go to the beach. I said, no, Dad, I can't do it. Kev, we'll go to the movies. Sorry, Dad, can't do it. Kev, we'll do like whatever you want. I just feel like you need to be with me today.
Wow.
He was so freaking close.
Yeah.
And then I said, Dad, I have a math test today. And you couldn't pay me to take a math test any day, but you know, so he drives me to City College. We're at the kitty corner off the side of the campus. And my dad, in his typical fashion, just to describe my dad, Pat Hines is like if you took Robert De Niro and the late, great Philip Seymour Hoffman, and they had a baby, Pat Hines. Okay, no, that's my dad. And so we get to City College, and he says, Kevin, I love you. Be careful. He said it every day. He'll call me today to say it. We're lucky that he can. Kevin, I love you. Be careful. I kissed him on the cheek, as I had done since I was a little kid. I told him I loved him. And I got out of the car, in my mind, thinking I was never going to see him again. Nobody I loved was ever going to see me again. I was content to die by these two hands from lethal emotional pain. I walked onto the campus, dropped all my classes, went out to the Golden Gate, took a muni train, then on that bus, and sitting on that bus, crying profusely, hoping, wishing and praying that one person would see me, say something kind and compassionate, because I couldn't tell my father that morning. But on that bus, I had become ambivalent. All I wanted to do was live while my brain was trying to kill me. And the bus got to the Golden Gate Bridge parking lot. And only one person on the bus acknowledged me. It was the guy to my left. And he said to the guy next to him, while pointing me with his thumb and a smile on his face while laughing at my pain, what the hell's wrong with that kid? And for me, that was it.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Literally, of the 100 people besides me that were on that bus, they all got off at the Golden Gate Bridge. Foreign accents from all over the world. Cameras that weren't phones. You know, all 9. And I sat there crying, hoping the driver would see me and see my pain and say something kind. And he goes, come on, kid, get off the bus. I got to go. And he just motioned for me to get off the bus. And I walked down the 2 steps, and I walked out to the walkway, and I walked across the walkway for 40 minutes, crying like a baby. And that's when a woman from my left approached me. She had long, blonde, curly hair and gigantic sunglasses that didn't fit her face. And she pulled out a digital camera and said, will you take my picture? And I was like, I had to laugh, like, this is terrible timing. I took her picture, and I took her picture several times, and she walked away. And at that moment, I said again to myself, absolutely no one cares. The greatest lie I'd ever told myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then the voice in my head beckoned, jump now, and I did. And I prayed on the way down that I would live. And when I hit the water, first of all, you hit the water from the Golden Gate Bridge fall. You're either depending on where you are on the bridge, you're either 220 feet or 250 feet above the water. The point I was probably 250 feet above the water. You fall at 75 miles an hour, nearing the speed of terminal velocity in 4 seconds.
Yes.
You hit at 15,000 pounds of pressure. Most people die upon impact.
Mm-hmm.
I hit the water. I went down. I opened my eyes. I was drowning. I didn't want to. I was shocked into reality. The depression was gone. The voices were wiped from my mind. What have I just done? I don't want to die. God, please save me.
Wow.
I swim as fast as I can to what I believe is the surface, but I'm going down. The water's getting murkier. My eyes are bulging out of my head because of the pressure. My ears are ringing. I shot for the opposite direction, the surface. I got closer and closer to the lit circle of water above me, and then I started to convulse and run out of air. And I was going like this, and my eyes rolling in the back of my head. And I vividly remember thinking, Kevin, if you die here, no one will ever know you didn't want to. No one will ever know you knew you made a mistake. Keep going. And I broke the surface of the water. I bobbed up and down, and I prayed, God, please save me. I don't want to die. I made a mistake. On repeat, and he heard me. A woman driving by in a red car, at the moment my hands left the rail, saw me go over, called her friend from her car phone, year 2000, called her friend from her car phone in the United States Coast Guard, who happened to be manning the waters of the bridge.
Oh my
at that moment.
gosh.
In the water, before the Coast Guard boat arrived, I was drowning. I kept going down. I couldn't get back to the surface. I go down. My boots are waterlogged. Long sleeve clothing is heavy. And I think, this is it. I'm going to die here. And no one is going to know I didn't want to. What have I done? And that's when something very large and very slimy and very alive began circling beneath me. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't die jumping off the
Totally.
Golden Gate Bridge and a shark is going to
Yeah.
eat me.
Oh, shit.
That's like my
That's
biggest,
what I
that's
would have
like,
thought
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I was
Fuck.
terrified. And it wasn't going away. And I just kept punching this thing, but it wasn't going away. It circled faster and faster, faster and faster. You know when you push God away and he comes closer? Faster and faster, faster and faster. And no longer am I wading in the water or treading in the water. I'm lying atop it on my back, being kept buoyant by this creature circling behind my shoulders, my neck, my elbows, and my knees.
That is, I'm literally like, my heart is beating so fast. That's like insane. Not like you're in this, not only a traumatic, you just jumped off of a bridge, but now you're in this long, like large body of water. It's freezing. Your animal is literally underneath you. I couldn't even imagine the thoughts going through your mind.
It's terrifying. But it wasn't biting me, so I was like, well, this is a nice shark. Well, it turned out I was on a television program a year later on ABC, and I said on the show I thought there was a shark beneath me in the water. And people wrote into the show from all over the world, and one man's letter stuck out. His name was Morgan. He was from Las Vegas, Nevada. He was on the bridge that day with his mom. And he goes, in the letter he wrote to me through ABC, he goes, Kevin, I'm so very glad you're alive. I was standing less than 2 feet away from you when you jumped.
Oh my gosh.
Until this day, watching this show, no one would tell me whether you lived or died. It's haunted me until right now. By the way, there was no shark, like you mentioned you thought there was on the show, but there absolutely was a sea lion. And the people above looking down believed it to be keeping your body afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind you. That's my miracle. God saved my life that day. And I feel so blessed and thankful to be alive every single day. Every waking moment is a gift, no matter the pain I'm in. And I'm in a lot of pain. I'm in a lot of physical pain from what I did to myself. No pity needed. I did that to myself. I take responsibility for my actions. I'm in a lot of brain pain. I still struggle with suicidal thoughts. They're chronic. They'll never take me. I'll never die that way. Every time I'm suicidal, and I teach this around the world, I do two things. I find a mirror anywhere. I look in that mirror and I say, my thoughts do not have to become my actions. They can simply be my thoughts. They don't have to own, rule, or define what I do next. If they're hateful, rageful, angry, aggressive, whatever, they don't have to be my thoughts. They don't have to be my actions. The second thing I do is I turn to anyone around me, whether I know them from Adam or not, and I say 4 simple but very effective words when I'm suicidal. I need help now. And everybody around me knows that's my shorthand for suicidal thinking. It doesn't necessarily mean I have to go to a psych ward again, which I've been to 10 in the last 20 years. Sometimes it means I just need someone to sit beside me in the pain, put their arm over my shoulder, and listen to understand, not to respond. To get my back literally. And to say, I'm going to walk you through these next 24 hours until the thoughts are gone. And I've stayed alive that way for 23 years. Thousands upon thousands of thoughts of suicidal ideation. They will never kill me. Somebody tells you Kevin Hines died by suicide, you open an all-out investigation. It was a murder. It's never going to happen. I get to be here. And I'm grateful for every waking moment. I remember after my, I think it was my third psych ward stay, third involuntary, forced in against my will.
By your parents?
By the fact that I was a danger to myself or others. Forced in against my will. And I got out and I had to go to a halfway home for the mentally ill because none of my family or friends would house me. They were done. They couldn't handle it anymore. And I don't blame them. I hold empathy for them in that situation. I was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the halfway home and rats are calling over my head, reading only frozen foods. And every single day, I would be grateful for all of that because I was still housed and I was still safe physically. Every day, I would pray in the morning, I would pray in the afternoon, I would pray at night. And the moon was right outside my window. And I would just, I would envision God being the moon. And that I can get through anything if I just believe. And it was rough for a long time, but I'm glad to be here with you all right now.
For sure.
Yeah, we're super grateful that you survived. I mean, God obviously had. That was powerful. I just want to start with that.
Yeah, I know, like
bro.
heavy.
I felt like I was in a movie there.
But I saw so many God moments though, in the sense of you were not supposed to die that day because the lady driving, it just so first of all, it was 2000, so the fact that she even had a car phone in her car is very slim. There's only one person in our neighborhood that had that. And also the fact that she had a friend that worked at the Coast Guard, like the odds of that is not even
there.
That's God.
Yeah.
Then the steel, like there's so many things. I mean, your dad telling you, like, you know that your dad loves you.
Oh.
You know that he would have moved mountains for you to be safe and tried to basically kind of get you off the ledge there. There's so many things that were God little trickles, I guess.
Building up.
Yeah. How was that recovery process though? Because 75 miles per hour into
Water.
It's like a brick wall.
4 seconds.
yeah.
It's like a brick wall.
So I'm assuming broken legs.
I shattered my T12, L1, L2 lower vertebrae into shards. I missed severing my spinal cord by 2 millimeters, 2 millimeters away from certain death. And I sprained my right ankle. That was it. But it was I went from a 10.5-hour back surgery to replace my shattered vertebrae with titanium. The surgeon, Dr. Jonathan Levin, who I just reunited with him last year after 22 years. Dr. Jonathan Levin wasn't supposed to be there that day.
A little trickle.
One of the greatest back surgeons in the world opted to stay and do my surgery. Invented a surgery on the spot for me.
Wow.
Went into my left side, never been done before this way. Went into my left side, he opened me up, took out all the splintered pieces of vertebrae, meshed them into a paste, took a cylindrical, circular mesh wiring cage of titanium, 4 pins the size of my index finger, metal plate the size of my palm to my left side. That is the only reason I get the privilege to stand, walk, and run. Because of that man. And he used that surgery subsequently, that exact same surgery he invented for me, on 13 other Golden Gate Bridge jump survivors to date to save their life. Of the Golden Gate Bridge jump survivors, there are 40 of us now. One more person just survived. of the 40 Golden Gate Bridge jump survivors, it's less than 1% of the people who have jumped. 5 of us can stand, walk, and run. They call us the most exclusive survivors club in the world. That's why I keep saying I get to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a gift. It's a
absolutely.
gift.
And fully be here, meaning
Fully be here.
you're
Present.
good. You're literally, you're walking in here. You're
Yeah.
not, nothing is something that should have, 1, killed you, or 2, paralyzed you.
Yeah.
But at least, I would think,
Yeah.
from that, just the impact alone. And you're, like you said, you can walk, run, you can work out,
Yeah.
you can do all of the things that we sometimes take for granted.
So many people can't do those things.
Right.
We have to appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
We have that ability.
Mm-hmm.
But the recovery process was something that I'll never forget, because there were a couple of key people in my life that got me to where I am today, and I'd like to talk about them if it's okay. My uncle Kevin, my great uncle Kevin. He was my great uncle on my dad's. He was my dad's uncle, my great uncle, Kevin Joseph Ryan. He is his father was the one that came from Ireland to America and brought the family. And there was a long line of alcoholism in the family. Uncle Kevin was one of 9 children, 2 stillborn, 7 remaining, 5 died of liver cirrhosis, alcoholism. Uncle Kevin was 30 years drunk during my dad's life, so he was no help to my dad. He was a detriment to my dad, and my dad had nothing and no one growing up. He was from the gutter, and Uncle Kevin was 30 years sober during my life. He was my hero. He was my best friend, and I was raised going to AA meetings.
Wow.
That was part of the deal. You went with Uncle Kevin for every one of his chips every year, and you went to different meetings. When Uncle Kevin called and said, we're going to a meeting, you went to a meeting. And so I'd be in a meeting at 15, just like listening to these incredible storytellers. I think it's where I learned to tell stories.
Yeah.
Because I'd be these incredible storytellers and these incredible hardworking people for change, and they're trying to alter their life's path. And Uncle Kevin, he would bring me 3 things in the psych wards. He would come to every psych ward stay, every single day without fail. Nobody else did that. When he died of pancreatic cancer, he sent his brother Jerry to come every single day without fail. And he'd come every day to the psych ward stays, and he would bring me comic books, cup of soup, and conversation, the 3 C's. And that saved my life, for sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
How long was your recovery process after the surgery?
Wheelchair to a walker and a back brace to a back brace and a cane, then right into my first psych ward. 4.5 weeks, really quick.
Wow.
After the surgery, and then
That's incredible.
that was incredible. Yeah,
That's
the doctor,
like incredible.
the doctor, Dr. Jonathan Levin, he's getting old now, and he can't do what he used to do.
Sure.
He's a legend.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
I was expecting you to say a year.
Me
Or
too.
4 weeks is, people aren't back to any type of recovery with an ACL surgery
No.
in 4 weeks.
No, he's a genius.
So you said that there's 40 currently survivors of
yeah.
Golden Gate. How many people jump every year? You know?
Well, for basically the last 40 years, 1 every 7 to 10 days. But I'm very happy to say that after my father and I were featured in the film The Bridge by Eric Steele,
Yeah.
the film that inspired me to become a documentarian. After we were in that film, and went to San Francisco Film Festival, New York, Tribeca, and everything. It went all over the world, and my dad and I were featured in it for 10 minutes, and my dad founded the Bridge Rail Foundation when it came out. The Bridge Rail Foundation's sole goal at the time was to raise the net or rail at the Golden Gate Bridge to stop the suicides there forever. And we fought initially to raise the rail, and they shut that down because you'd ruin the aesthetics of the bridge. What are the aesthetics for a bridge compared to one human life? Someone's loved one, someone's family, someone's friend. And how can you say that to all
That's,
the
like,
people?
insane.
It's insane. How can you say that
That's
to all
so
the people that have
stupid.
lost their loved ones to the Golden Gate?
They don't want to do it because it costs money.
Does it cost money?
No,
No, it costs
they'll
money.
lose money
Well, it
Why?
would cost money.
because
but-
there's probably some kind of money that's made for people to tour the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, there's 20 million people cross the Golden Gate Bridge every year.
Yeah, but if you raised it, you can still visit and walk the bridge like you can.
They fought against us vehemently for years, for decades. And we never stopped. We just kept going. And a small group of like-minded people said, we are not going to stop knocking at your door, the Bridge District Authority, going to all your meetings every month. We will be here with our families that have lost their children, their wives, their fiancés, their loved ones, and we're going to hold their pictures next to us in our hearts and physically and say, get this done. We got the Gamboa family lost their son, Kyle, to the Golden Gate Bridge. May rest in peace. And the Gamboa family brought 3 boxes of 150,000 signatures from all over the world saying, raise the net now. And that was one of the biggest impetuses to change. Dana Whitmer, who lost her son Matthew to the bridge, she was one of the biggest advocates to raise the net, and she helped with Paul Muller and Dave Hall, who lost his 13-year-old daughter Kathy to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh my gosh.
They helped write legislation to take highway and transportation funds that can fix potholes,
Sure.
or they can go to a public health crisis and save lives, which is what the Golden Gate Bridge is. And so many people, so many organizations, so many groups got together, and the Bridge District Authority bent to our will, but they didn't do this out of the kindness of their own heart. They're bureaucrats. They did this because we forced their hand. So I never like let them slide completely on like
Of
now
course.
they're doing this. They're
got
saying
pressure.
we did this, but it's like you wouldn't do this unless we pushed you for 23 years.
Yeah, you
know.
provided the extra heat that it needed.
And the first group to ever fight for raising the net was in 1937, 6 months after it opened. The bridge patrol of that area tried to raise the rail. They were shut down. 6 subsequent fights over all those years, shut down. 90 years later, we're raising the rail. And I have a great story for you. The other day, I got an email from Grace. Grace didn't know the net was there at the portion she was at. She leapt into the net. There was a portion it wasn't finished at. She tried to crawl to the edge to go over to take her life. And she looked up and she saw one of the patrol officers looking down crying, saying, please come back. Please don't do this. Please stay. And she wrote to me and she said, in the moment where my leg was dangling off where the net was not, I remembered your words from the film The Bridge. It was an instant regret. And I came back over and I asked the officers for help. And now we're friends.
That's
beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I love everything that you just talked about because, that's why this podcast exists, because of the fentanyl crisis.
Yeah.
Because I lost my son-in-law.
Yeah.
Which, still affects me to this day, which will probably affect me for the rest of my life because, it's really sad, man.
Yeah.
And I like that you guys said you had a group of people and you said that you wouldn't stop. Like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop showing up. My face is not, and I've got these 2 amazing individuals and, hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of people standing beside us now.
Yeah.
And I want to force change at the highest level.
Yeah.
Because this fentanyl crisis is destroying families' lives.
young kids.
Young kids are dying that don't want to die, that don't know that they're taking fentanyl. And we could do something about it, and we're not going to stop. I'm not going to I'm going to be like you forever, because even once we force their hand, I'm not, it doesn't stop at fentanyl.
And that's why this podcast exists, because of the tragic event that his family had to endure and go through. When in his son-in-law's case, he wasn't trying to take his life, but obviously, he ended up taking a pill that he thought was something else, and there was fentanyl in it and killed him. So it's like that's what's happening out there. There's young kids that are taking Adderall or ecstasy, thinking that it's ecstasy or Adderall, and it has illicit fentanyl in it, which, as we all know, all it takes is a grain of salt or a grain of sand that can kill you. So, I mean, for him to create the podcast to amplify the voice for the people that, what do you say, the voice?
The voice for the people that have lost their voice, or I say for the people that no longer have a voice because they died, and then for the family members that their pain is so severe they can't get up and fight this fight.
Yeah.
Many of them can't get up.
Yeah.
They'll show up, but they can't. They they don't have the strength to be on the front line and be, talking about it every day. We have a couple. We have a couple ladies that are just, they're out there just strong. We have one coming on the podcast
Perla.
on
Next
Wednesday. This
Next
Wednesday.
week. Oh,
This Wednesday. Yeah.
it is?
Yeah. Got I know because I had a scheduling conflict with our with our engineer, and she pointed it out to me.
But that's exactly what went through my mind when you were saying that it took, a group of people to stay with it and to keep basically knocking on the door,
Never stop.
knocking on the door, because that's the problem is we have a system that is definitely not run in the way that we all think that it should be, and change isn't going to happen until it's forced, unfortunately.
I see. Here's my issue, man. The politicians sometimes think that they're in charge. They're not in charge. They get elected into that spot, so they need to start listening. Like I won't back down. I mean, I could give two shits anymore,
Yeah.
Like, and I'm pretty sure that most of society is behind me on that statement.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask. I'm drawing a blank on what the question was, but it was like really, what are you guys still doing? Today to fight the stigma. Oh, and what type of bad stuff comes up? Like, what do reviews or not reviews, but like comments that people say towards your? Because we get bad comments towards addiction and mental health issues. What kind of stuff comes up from this?
I get death threats for advocating I certainly got death threats a lot for doing the work to raise the net. People were really angry about that. Don't ruin my bridge. People told me often to do things like, why don't you tie an anvil to your legs and do it right this time? Yeah. Brutal things like that. But I will say for every horrible, hateful comment, there are hundreds of beautiful ones.
Yeah.
Of course.
And so I try to focus on those. But I want to put something out there and be a little vulnerable here for a minute. But in recognizing what you all are doing with this podcast and with your work outside of this podcast, because I see you in the community doing a lot of great work too. You're not just doing this here on the podcast. You're doing the real work. We're making a film called The Net right now. It's my second feature-length documentary. The first film won 3 Best Film Awards internationally. And we're making this film called The Net about the 87-year struggle to stop suicides at the Golden Gate Bridge. But as a whole focus across America, we want to have a conversation in the film about the fentanyl epidemic and the opioid crisis and drugs and alcohol in general. It would be my honor if you all would be a part of that film. And you don't have to answer now. No pressure no, I'm not putting you on the spot.
Chad, you ready to answer?
But if you could think
We'll
about
always
that,
do stuff like that.
Absolutely.
100%.
For
that
sure.
would mean the world
All
to
day
me.
long.
Yeah.
That would mean the world
That'd
to
be
me.
awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go back. I want to ask a question.
Yeah, go.
When did you decide that you wanted to be public and start speaking like you're speaking today? I mean, I've seen you speak at schools. I've watched your stuff. It's incredible to me that there would be people that have the nerve to talk negatively. I always say this anyways, but I mean, just like if you don't like something or if something you're not into something, it's like all you got to do is like
Don't
scroll.
watch it.
Yeah,
don't
or
watch
like go click on something else. It's like
they have to be a
weird.
part of the
Yeah,
conversation.
it's like really wild to me that
Yeah.
you take that much energy to write something so
Yeah.
negative and mean, but you know, obviously they're struggling with something else going on.
hurt people.
Exactly. So, when did you decide? Because you did say that after your back surgery initially, after the jump, how old were you?
I was 19.
Okay, so you're 19 years old. You go into, you know, making this decision. It obviously God was on your side that day,
Yeah.
and you ended up getting a back surgery. Then you come out of the back surgery. 4 weeks later, you're walking, right?
And then straight into a psych.
And then straight into a psych ward. So, walk me through what you went through to the psych ward because already after the rehab, they were like, you tried to commit suicide, so you need to go.
You couldn't
right.
just go home from that.
Yeah.
You had to-
Okay.
yeah,
that
you
makes
had
sense.
to- yeah,
Okay.
they're
Okay. They're
Yeah,
like,
to get
no,
clearance.
sir.
yeah. No.
We can get you right in the head.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, I
For
just jumped
sure.
off the bridge.
Yeah.
I head home now.
You're like, I'm good. I'm
right?
good. I'm
I
safe.
think one of the
Right?
doctors. I think one of the doctors actually came in and was like, "You can't just go home for that."
Totally.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fucking
And then how
funny.
long were you in the
I mean,
psych ward?
I am surprised because I feel like today they might just let go.
They might just send you home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Today's different.
You know
Yeah.
how hard
It's
it
different.
is to. and
You can't get someone treatment for more than 2 days, let alone 2 months.
You can't.
The first that. Oh, I can talk about this.
No,
all
me
day.
too.
Yeah.
It's
Same,
so
same.
bad. You cannot.
That's
you
stuff
can't
that we're
51-50
advocating
anymore.
for on this. You know, it's big time stuff that
Yeah.
we're advocating
Yeah.
for.
Yeah.
We can send how much have we sent to Ukraine?
Oh,
Billions.
billions.
200 billion
200 billion.
Mhm.
You know how many people we could help here in the
for
United
200
States?
billion dollars.
I mean, come on.
What are we doing?
Yeah,
I mean, you can't
Just-
even. The
could-
sad thing is,
100 billion. Could we get half of it? Send
say
the, send the
this
other
is
half
what's
to
scary.
Ukraine.
Say
Okay.
you have somebody, a friend that's like struggling, and you take them into the ER and you try to essentially like 5150 them. You can't anymore.
You can't.
No.
That's nuts.
No, you can't. And if they don't flat out say they're going to hurt other people, you can't. And it's a disheveled system that with just a few like specific tweaks could be changed radically
Mm-hmm.
to benefit those who struggle.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me bananas thinking about it every day.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh, but to answer your
broken.
question,
Oh yeah.
answer your question, in that first psych ward stay, I was in the front kind of area of the psych ward next to the white walled padded room where you go in where you get the straitjacket on. By the way, they would put you in a straitjacket in a white walled padded room after it was illegal. So I experienced that. So straitjackets are illegal now because they learn scientifically that they're too restrictive and they
Oh.
cause more psychosis, not less.
Interesting. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah,
to
right.
me.
So I was in that situation, and it was already illegal, and they were still doing it. But just FYI. So every single day, the chaplain of the hospital, Brother George Cherry, would walk around and do the rounds, and he would go to see everybody in the room, and he would pray with them. And the thing about Brother George Cherry is he would he had the black robe and the white rope and the sandals and the white hair. He looked like St. Francis Snowbirds, and he'd come in. And he would always read the chart before he entered a new patient's room, so he knew why they were there. First time in 30 years, he doesn't read the chart. He just felt compelled to walk in. I'm sitting on the edge of my bed with I'm putting on my back brace. It's the first day. I'll never forget this. First day I could put it on by myself. I've got my cane to my right. It's leaning on the bed, and Brother George Cherry walks in the room, and he goes, "Hey kid, what are you in for?" And I was like, oh boy. I was like, brother, I jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. And he was like, yeah? And I'm the Pope.
Oh
shit.
my
That
god.
is fucking hilarious.
That is.
Good time.
And he thought I was delusional. He didn't
Yeah.
believe me. And I was like, no, brother, that's what happened. That's why the back brace, that's
why
the
the cane.
I did that.
Yeah.
And he was like, whoa. He goes, oh, I'm so sorry. I feel so silly. Let's pray. And so he comes down to my left side, and we say a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers, and he goes, kid, when you get better, you want to talk about this. And I was like, about what to who? He said, you'll see. Every day, Brother George Cherry would come into my room. Every day he would say, kid, when you get better, you have to talk about this after he prayed with me. And every day he'd leave. On the last day of my stay, my dad's like hobbling me out the door. And he goes, Kevin, I expect you'll talk about this. And I was like, see ya. And I get out of there. And I'm like, what is that guy talking about? Talk about this. Anyway, a few weeks later, my dad takes me to church I grew up in, church I was baptized at, confirmed at, married at, same priest.
Wow.
And we're in the service, and I felt like the service was talking right to me. Like, I felt like my dad had gone to the priest beforehand and be like, this is what you need to say to my son,
That's
which
cool.
is entirely possible. He was on their board of directors.
Right?
So the priest comes out of the service. Kevin, I'm so glad to see you. So glad you're doing better. You're looking good. By the way, how would you like to come and talk to our 7th and 8th grade class about your experience this Good Friday? And I was like, Father, I don't have a speech and I wouldn't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, my dad shoved me forward and goes, he'll do it. I was like, what are you doing, Dad? He goes, you'll do it. We need closure. And I'm like, you need closure, old man. I need to go. I'll go and lay down. But I didn't say that because he's 6'1" and I'm not. So I go home. Good Friday's about to roll around. I haven't written a speech. The night before Good Friday, I read a speech till 3 a.m. that day. Not mentally healthy. I finished the speech. My dad edits it that morning at 8 o'clock. We go to the rectory at 9. 120 7th and 8th grade kids sitting cross-legged on the floor in their Catholic uniforms I used to wear. And they're bright-eyed. They're like, what is this fool going to say, you know?
Yep.
I've got my back brace over my shirt, you know. I've got my cane. I'm in a lot of pain. And I've got my 17-page speech that takes 45 minutes to read aloud. I timed it. And I'm dropping page by page to the floor, reading the pages right there, crying profusely and shaking like a leaf because it was very raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped the 17th page, and then there's no page, nothing in my hand. And I look at these kids. I'm terrified. Like, what did that just do?
Yeah.
Who did that help? And then 8 kids' hands go up. I counted them. And I call on the kid in the back. And he asked the most inappropriate question
Of course.
you could ask at
The
a
one
high
in the
school-
back.
at
The
the
one-
high-
that was me.
At the high school, at the Catholic high school. And the nun goes, don't answer that. And I'm like, I wasn't going to. And then 7 other intuitive, empowering, important, moving, powerful questions. I was like, shit, this made an impact. Oh, okay, cool. And I go home. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. And then Father Michael Harriman, who retired as Monsignor, called me to the rectory 2 weeks later. He goes, Kev, would you come up and see me? I got something for you. So I was like, all right, I got to huck up 2 miles to this hill. My dad's at work in my back brace and my cane. This is going to suck. But I go up the hill. I'm sweating through my back brace. I'm in a lot of pain. And I get to his rectory. I sit down in his office. I take my inhaler.
Mm-hmm.
And then Father Harriman hands me a manila envelope and goes, read it. Open it. And so I open it. And it was a hand pencil colored drawing of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. It was beautiful. One of the kids. And that was a folder. I opened that. 120 letters from 120 kids.
Wow.
They were mandated to write the letters. They didn't just get up and be like, let's
Okay.
all write to the suicidal guys simultaneously. No, but they all wrote me letters. And here's the deal. And this is really important for like therapists
Sure.
and counselors in high schools and grade schools because the kids are under 18. They're minors. You have this opportunity. Bring a speaker to your school that can talk about this topic and then ask the students to all write that person a letter and say, write it to your heart's content. There's no limitations on what you can write because that's what they did. And the kids wrote of their traumas and struggles. And 6 of the kids wrote of their active suicidal crisis. The letters were screened by the parents and teachers. The kids were given the mental health help they needed. They're alive today. 2 of them are therapists.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just gave me chills.
Yeah, it's cool
like
stuff,
really,
man.
really
It's
cool. How old were you when that was the first like really speaking engagement that
19.
started your?
It was 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
20.
so let me ask you, that was your first time speaking, and you
Yeah.
wrote a 17-page
Yeah, that's nuts.
speech.
Yeah.
And Now, when you were up on there, how much looking up did you do while you were reading the speech?
I did a lot because I was theater trained in high school and all that, and I
Oh,
took
yeah, that probably
I took
helped a
acting for
ton.
the camera in college, and like I
And you obviously practiced all 17 pages.
I read, I think I read them 3 times before I did it.
Yeah.
But I was really like, but when I got to the point of like just saying it from the gut, it became so wonderful. I'll never forget why I did that. My second speech was at a drug rehabilitation center in Oakland, California, and this once again, a kid in the back raises. My dad was in the very back. Nobody knew he was in the room. He came in later, and this kid in the back goes, "Hey, why'd you read it from the pages? You were there."
Oh shit! Mic drop.
Shit. And my dad goes, "He got you."
Yep.
That
Totally.
was from the old Mike Tyson referee who used to do that in the camera.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, I never read it from the page again.
Smart kid.
Smart
It's your
kid.
story. You don't need the
Smart
pages,
kid.
bro.
You know what
You
though?
lived it.
Yeah,
You know
Yeah.
what though?
Yeah.
It's good to do that 1 or 2 times.
1 or 2 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just puts everything.
Because
it
then
organizes
it organizes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once you have it organized in your mind,
Yeah.
I remember when I was like, on the Narcotics Anonymous speaking gigs,
Yep.
and I would do the podium speaking, and then I had my story down to a T. But it took like probably 3 times of sucking really bad and stumbling through my story before all of a sudden one day I got up there and I was super comfortable and I was telling my story and I would move off the podium a little bit, and because I was a tweaker, so like I'd be like thinking the FBI's outside, I'd be peeping through the blinds, and I made it theatrical, and all of a sudden it was like people really loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they loved it, I loved telling it.
Yeah.
The first couple times, I was scared as fuck, nervous, sweating, stumbling through my story. But the courage that it takes to do that, to be vulnerable in front of people that maybe some of them don't even give a shit, but you're doing it anyways. That's fucking powerful, man. That is powerful.
Yeah. Now my wife and I go around. We do it anywhere between 250 and 300 days a year.
I mean, that's incredible. I want to ask how long have you been married?
20 years together, 17 years married.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Got Shane beat.
Yeah.
The only one in the house lately that's got you beat.
Can I just tell you about my wife?
Yes.
Can I? So.
No, don't do it.
Well, not only that, not
No,
only
we
that.
refuse.
There's a story.
No.
Wait, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, not only that, but I have some questions because, now that I know that she's known you for 20 years, you said,
Well, yeah,
and married 17,
yeah.
so she knows,
Everything.
right?
Yeah.
So you didn't have to kind of hide and then say, oh, by the way.
Well, so that's the thing. I met her in the psych ward.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That's like
She was his nurse.
He beat
No,
there
no,
too.
No, she was a patient.
No, I was the patient. She was visiting her cousin who was in there for illicit drug use.
That's hilarious.
Methamphetamines and other drugs. And he. So let me just.
Your wife knows how to pick them.
I'll try-
I literally left the psych ward and I fell in love. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, literally, that's insane. If I
I
was
can just sit here telling your
if I was
family.
her girlfriend and
Right?
she came home and called me and was like, "Hey, I just visited so and so, and I met the man of my dreams. He's a patient there." I was like, "Dude, I'm about to check you back into that spot. What's wrong with you?"
Wait. Okay, you gotta hear this. So her cousin was rolled in on a gurney one day. He was catatonic. He couldn't move and he couldn't talk. Methamphetamines, other drugs. He had overdosed, and he couldn't move or talk for quite some time, for at least 2 weeks. And the fucked up part about it was that everybody ignored him because he couldn't help himself. The staff weren't helping him, and all the patients ignored him. And they'd roll him into his breakfast, lunch, and dinner meals in the cafeteria, We all met in the cafeteria for breakfast and dinner. Where they'd roll him in a wheelchair. They'd put the food tray in front of him, and they'd take it away full. Every day, 3 times a day. It broke my heart. So I'm like, okay, I am going to sit with this young man, and I'm going to get him to respond so he doesn't starve. So I just told him story after story after story. I'm telling him all these stories. And he's not moving, and he's not talking, and he's not eating. He's not even drinking water, which is really bad for 2 weeks. And so, but every day, like 15 to 22 people would come to visit this kid.
Wow.
He had an entourage. He had 2 entourages. It was incredible. Everybody else was jealous. And I'm in the hospital, and I'm at my 2nd month of the psych ward stay, which is rare, and it doesn't happen anymore. And I'm doing much better because I'm following a treatment plan. I'm following a routine. I got on a regimen. I'm doing the work for the first time ever. And one day, 2 weeks into his stay, he goes like this. He goes, Jesus Christ, man, you talk too much.
Oh.
I know your whole life story. Like, cut a guy a break. He came out of his catatonia. People were clapping. It was the woman who was always clapping, but she meant it for us. and I was so
I just picture it like this girl that's always
The crazy
clapping.
girl in the corner?
You know,
Yeah.
it happened. So it was incredible. So the kid gets out of his catatonia, and we kind of try. He's still upset with me, but I go to my case manager at one point, and I go, "Hey, you know, you got me in here doing 10 forms of therapy. I'm following the program. Give me 5 forms of therapy and something productive to do. I'm bored."
Mm-hmm.
And her name was Jenna from Brooklyn. I'll never forget it. And she goes, "Kevin, you want to volunteer for the psych ward you're staying in?" I said, "Yes." She said, "No, that's highly unethical, probably illegal. That's not going to happen, Kevin." I said, "Well, can I have a hug?" And she said, "Get away from me." And then the next day, the new case manager comes in, and she was a certified 1960s San Francisco hippie. Her hair was salt and pepper and curly fried out to here. She wore tie-dye shirts every day that she claimed were different. It was the same shirt she smelled. She wore a flower in her right ear. She had a lei of flowers around her neck that she handpicked from her garden every morning. And I knew I had it. I was like, "Can I have a job?" And she was like, "You want to volunteer for us? That sounds like a lovely idea. What can we have you do?" And she goes, "I know." And she was the only person at the nurse's psych ward station, which was rare, usually 20 people there. And she goes, she picks a binder out of these 22 giant green binders, and she goes, "I know you can file these." I said, "What are they?" She said, "They're patient binders. Just do it alphabetically and don't look at the details." HIPAA privacy laws, anybody?
Totally. Like,
And no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay. So I file the binders, and I didn't look at most of the details. And I finished that, and she was clean out the giveaway clothes closet. When people leave the hospital, they have something to wear. So we go out and we clean, bin, box, label everything, separate it out, and I realize all the men's stuff fits me. So I come out of the closet with a Ralph Lauren double-breasted polo suit and a 70s yellow-flared collar like some kind of gangster owns the place. And I go and I 5-finger disc on a notebook, clipboard, and pen. And I'm doing the official hospitalization and documentation. It's just Leonardo the Ninja Turtle. I still have the drawing. It's in my phone. It's incredible. And in walks Pat Hines. Pragmatic, pessimistic, stone-faced banker Pat Hines in a suit. And he can't see me. He has a stroke in this eye. He shouldn't be driving, but don't tell him I said that. And so he goes to the nurse's psych ward station. He can't see me over here at the end. This is not a hotel. He said, "Get me the head nurse right now." And she goes, "You're looking at her." And they were going at it. And security came around the corner. And I'm in a suit. I go, "That's it, everybody. No more Pat Hines. Get him out of here." And they physically, forcefully removed my father like I had authority over them. He was furious. We laugh about it now.
Oh my gosh.
I laugh about it when he stares at me. But anyway, the next day I'm wearing a pink polo shirt, khaki cargo shorts.
I have to tell you.
Yeah.
You know how crazy all this shit
I
sounds.
know.
Like?
It's
Yeah,
great.
no,
Like-
that's insane. Like, I couldn't even imagine being your dad and then getting kicked out of the psych ward that his son was literally checked into after his son tried to commit suicide, and then
And now
his son is telling them
now he's
to
posing.
kick
Now
me
he's
out.
posing as a fucking
Oh,
employee.
but they're listening to me. Why are they listening to me?
That's the crazy part.
Well, the next,
That's the crazy part. Because here's the thing. You could easily have a crazy person, doing that. We've had many people come through some of my treatment centers and they, think they work here and stuff. And we're like, no, he doesn't work here.
they played along. They were all about it. It was like, this is part of his healing journey.
Yeah.
Thank God for the hippie lady.
Yeah.
man.
Come on. So the next day I'm wearing a pink polo shirt, khaki cargo shorts, and sandals. And I'm making the afternoon visiting hour announcements on the PA system. And I'm rhyming them because that's more efficient. And it's one of those mics like drop down from a boxing ring, except it's on a stand. And I go and I'm announcing the visiting hours, and I get a tap on my left shoulder. And I turn around, and there she was. And her eyes were almond brown, sexy, and cool. And I was done. And I knew she'd be the rest of my life. I just was like, don't tell her that. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
And so she goes, "Excuse me, do you work here?" And the whole staff, like 20 people are there, and they're all looking at me like this little jackass.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, as a matter of fact, miss, I'm a volunteer. And they didn't say anything.
Hilarious.
They totally let it slide. They didn't say a thing. They laughed. They giggled. And then she was like, "I'm looking for my cousin Eduardo. Do you know what room he's in?" I said, "Madam, right this way." And I put my hand on the small of her back and her elbow, and I glided her there, which was very weird. She said that was creepy. But anyway, I get her to the room.
Shane, was it creepy?
No, I didn't think so. I didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't feel it.
Yeah. If Shane says it's not creepy, it's
Good. Thank you,
it's
Shane.
not
You have to
creepy.
talk to
Yeah,
my
we're
wife.
good. We're good.
You talk to my wife.
We're good.
So we get her to the room of her cousin. This is her first time visiting him. And he sees me. I duck out in the hallway. He still hates me. I'm the guy that talks too much. And she goes, "Your nursing staff is so nice." And he goes, "That guy? That guy is a fucking nutball. That guy jumps off bridges. Don't talk to that guy." And I ran in and I was like, "Excuse me, it was one bridge, plural. That's ridiculous." So the kid comes out.
Oh my God.
She comes out and she goes, "Why'd you lie to me?" I said, "Margaret, I didn't lie to you. I'm a volunteer at this very hospital. I just happen to also live here." Well, so the day before he gets out, Margaret comes in the psych ward, and I walk up to her, and this is my shot. I go, "Margaret, when I get out of here, could I take you to coffee?" And she smiled. So I thought, I got this. And then she looked around the H-shaped psych ward. We were all in. She goes, "Oh, honey, hell no." And so he gets out. And they're taking those funds. You get $3 a day, which I don't think is fair. $3 a day at the half of them. I could buy a cup of coffee at Tully's or half of a bagel if Pete at Noah's was nice to me. He wasn't always nice to me. And I started saving up my money and eating the frozen food, right? So I'm saving up my money to take Margaret out to dinner. And I call Margaret,
How'd you get her number?
her cousin. We became friends. I call Margaret, and this is the conversation. She goes, I go, "Hi, Margaret, it's Kevin." And she goes, "Kevin?" We hadn't talked to him. I was like, "Kevin Hines." She goes, from the psych ward? "Hi, Kevin. Hi." And I was like, basically, like, "What do you want?" I was like, "Margaret, it's Friday, and I'd like to take you to dinner." And she goes, he's just so thrilled she couldn't find the words. And I go, "Margaret, it's one date. If it goes south, you never have to see me again." She goes, "Okay." So I show up at Margaret's apartment. I made a giant mistake with a huge duffel bag with lots of my things. And she goes, "What the hell is that?" I said, "Margaret, it's a funny thing. It's a funny story. When you leave the halfway home on a Friday, it's Friday. You can't go back to the halfway home until Monday.
Oh, God.
She goes,
my.
"Oh, hell no. Hell no." And I was like, Margaret, I planned for this. I will lay on those Lombardi stairs across from your apartment and sleep on my bag as a pillow with my jacket as a blanket in the rain if I have to. But we have to go on this date. I came all this way. And she goes, "Oh, God, fine." She picked the restaurant. We go to the restaurant, Cafe Sport in San Francisco, which is an old mob hangout. All the politicians go there now. Hint, hint. And so we go to Cafe Sport, and you don't order at Cafe Sport. They look at you, they judge you, and they order for you. Okay?
I like
That's
that.
cool.
Go to Cafe Sport.
I
Well,
wonder
I have allergies. Anyway, so we get there and we sit down. The tables are this big, this tiny. You're elbow to elbow with everybody next to you. You can hear everybody's conversation verbatim. And they knew Margaret. So they got her favorite Italian dish, very small, quaint, clean, fit on the table, eggplant parmesan, small plate. And on my side of the table, the guy didn't like me. I was the new guy. And so a mountain of spaghetti, a huge bunch of marinara sauce, an uncracked lobster with a votive and a candle on a plate and boiling butter on top, and a very oddly cut lemon wedge, like on purpose. And I'm freaking out. I'm wearing my only good white shirt that I bought at Old Navy on this clearance rack on sale for $5. That's a 2-day shirt. So I go, okay, I can't get anything on my shirt because she'll think I'm a slob, but I've never cracked a lobster in my life. So I go to the tail, crack marinara sauce all over my only good white shirt. It was like Captain America's shield on his shirt. I am freaking out. And I say to myself, Kevin, you got to do something classy right now. And I was like, what does that mean? Figure it out. So I pick up the lemon and I look at Margaret's eyes and I start to shake and I go like this, except across the table. And I squeeze the lemon harder than the lemon has ever been squeezed with my entire hand. And a stream of lemon juice flies directly into her left eye. And it was a stream. It wasn't a drop. It just like a fire hose. And mascara is running down her face.
Oh my
She looks like
gosh.
the band Kiss to the film The Crow. And this lady next to us decides to get involved. Miss, are you okay? I was like, hey, Smoker 67. It's a date. It's going south. You're not helping. Thank you. Margaret, I'm so sorry. I seriously apologize. Kevin, do something classier right now. Anything right now. Go. And I go for the plate of boiling butter with my same shaky hand. I tip the plate very rapidly. I watch 4 droplets of boiling butter fly across the table between her blouse onto her chest, and they burn her. They scold her.
Oh my
She
gosh.
screams bloody murder. The people drop their knives and forks. I'm not even kidding. I mean, she screamed bloody murder. And I am like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm a gentleman. I reach for my napkin and I reach over and I'm doing this. This on a first date.
Oh my
And
gosh.
she looks at me and she goes, what are you doing? And I realized what I was doing. I was like, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Margaret, and she says, the only 2 words on a first date you don't want to hear in the first 10 minutes when you haven't eaten your food. Check, please. It's over.
Wow.
It's over. We're not going to get married. We're not going to have the 6 kids, 3 girls, 3 boys. We're not going to get the dog named Max. He was a Shar-Pei. All the wrinkles look just like Dad.
You're definitely not staying the night.
No. And so we get back to her apartment, and she looks at the bag on the floor, and she goes, Kevin, we're going to the roof. And I said, Margaret, are you going to throw me off? She said, no, come on. We go up this rickety old 1950s elevator. We get to the roof. 2 yoga mats, purple yoga mats, and a box garden, the Bay Bridge in front of us, in full view, the Golden Gate Bridge Tower behind us.
Wow.
A full moon, and we lay down, and I said, Margaret, what are we doing here? And she goes, Kevin, if all we do right now is stare at that full moon, ain't nothing else can go wrong. Stayed the night on the roof. She said, at that moment, she goes, so tell me your story. So I start telling my story. She was asleep in 5 minutes. She gave me a second date, though, and we went to see Mos Def in concert. He didn't show up. And on the way home, I told her I loved her.
Wow.
Yeah. And she said, thank you. But 20 years later.
That's crazy.
It's kind of like mine in your relationship, Shane.
Yeah, that was
Huh?
intense, bro. That was intense. This has been an intense hour. I'm not going to lie.
It's
Pretty fucking heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an incredible. And you guys are married. How many kids do you have?
6.
No, we no, we weren't able to have kids.
No?
Oh, God.
We had a miscarriage, and my pills preclude me from having kids. But we hope to adopt soon.
Sure.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So you said 40 people survived.
Yeah.
It's a small club, 1%.
Yeah.
Of those 40 people, or of anybody that survived, who has taken their own life after that? Anybody?
Good point. So there were 41 survivors total. One of them went back to the bridge to take their life.
They did.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
Yeah, but only
So-
back to the bridge.
So out of those 40 people, how many on their way down found God? And you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I don't know.
Said that I made a mistake.
I
I
think-
want to do over.
I don't know of them how many had that response. I don't know them all. I know. Let's see. I know 2 of them personally. I don't have much contact with them. I know one of them who, pretty famous story. He stood on the rail for 6 hours, being talked back over to safety by his name is Kevin Berthia, and he has a great faith in God, but I think he always has. And then there's a guy, Ken Baldwin, who survived after one depressive episode he jumped, and he never had depression. He says he never had depression again, which it's interesting. But I am just I'm just grateful for existence at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have to do? Because you said that you were diagnosed when you were 17 with bipolar, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have to do on a consistent basis? Like, do you have to continue going to therapy, or do you work? Like, what do you do to try and maintain your
Sanity.
Yeah, of course, quite a bit. So, my wife is my therapist now, so we tell each other everything. So that kind of I don't go to traditional therapy anymore. I do take medication every day because when I don't take it, I have hallucinations.
For people listening, what is bipolar?
Bipolar depression is basically it's defined as extreme highs and extreme lows of the highs of mania. Mania is defined as natural highs caused not by recreational drugs, but caused by the misaligning chemistry in your brain. And then you crash. Once you go up, you must come down. So when you crash into a darkness or abysmal distress or despair and pain. And depression. And for me personally, I experience hallucinations, auditory and visual. I see and hear things that only I can see or hear. I have delusions of grandeur where I believe I can do things that aren't really possible. Like, for example, at 17, during the height of a manic episode, I campaigned for president of the United States of America in my neighborhood. It didn't go so well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And people were like calling my father, like, what is wrong with your son? Because I was serious. I was like, I'd like to secure your vote, please. And they were like, what? I was like, I'd like to secure your vote, please.
Yeah.
And they said, for what? I said, well, of course, for the presidency of these United States of America.
And you're 17.
And I was 17,
Yeah.
and people were like, we're going to call your dad. I was like, well, he's voting for me. He's a mess.
Yeah.
But so I exercise, I weight train, I educate myself, I eat healthy most meals, most days. Sometimes I struggle with that because I've struggled with food my whole life, and I've lived as certainly in high school wrestling, lived with extreme eating disorders. I'm not ashamed to say that as a man. That was tough time for me. I was both living with bulimia and anorexia at the same time, and I thought I just had the flu all the time. I was in denial.
I feel like it's quite not normal in the sense of okay, normal in the sense of because wrestling in that sport, cutting weight and severe. It's
very,
really,
very common.
really
how to take care of myself, how to advocate for myself. I'm honest in therapy. I tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God, so I can get through whatever pain that ails me. I have great coping strategies and mechanisms. I did have a emotional support animal. My dog Max was my emotional support animal for a while. He passed away 9 years ago. I can't get a new dog. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Max was too great. And then there's a litany of things I do. But if you want to know all the things I do, it's just youtube.com/Kevin Hines. It's a video called The Art of Wellness 2.0, a 10-step regimen to better brain, mind, behavioral, mental, physical health, and well-being. And that video, thousands of people have written in and said, this video has changed my life. And in 6 to 9 months, I see a dramatic improvement in my mental health. So I give it out to the world for free, and I just say, hey, this is what I do. It's all science-backed, evidence-informed stuff. I didn't make it up. It's not invented by me, but it will help you if you utilize it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's amazing is he is extremely self-aware. A lot of people in his situation have bipolar depression are not as self-aware. They stop their medications. They go off the regimens. They don't have a loved one in place that they can bounce things off that's going to keep them healthy. I had a lot of friends, not a lot, but 3 that are bipolar. 2 are dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Drug or jumping out a window, 4th floor, 5th floor, thinking they could fly, or in that zone.
Of every diagnosed mental illness, the most amount of suicides occur with people who live with bipolar depression.
Yeah.
And attempts for that.
That's because no self-awareness, and when they do become self-aware, it either makes them too fat, or they feel lethargic, or there's an excuse not to take the pill.
I go further, is that he's doing the work. It's a diligent,
Yes.
like even when he was in the psych ward, what I took from his story is that why they let you put on a suit and why they let you do the so-called volunteer work when it's like, all right, cool, he's just doing like extra work that I don't have to do now.
Yeah.
It's because they see you diligently doing the process of doing the work. I say it all the time, especially, sponsoring other women or going, because I work a 12-step program in Alcoholics Anonymous, and people can go to meetings and show up and then leave, but nothing is going to happen, or you're not going to feel better, or you're not going to so-called get better unless you do the actionable steps that are required, which is, doing the deal. Like, you have your YouTube video up that people can go and check out. You know what? I kind of have these thoughts going on right now. I want to see what Kevin does. And now they have something accessible that they can go to if they're not like an alcoholic,
Yeah.
But doing something for yourself, because obviously we know right now in this era, the mental health conversation is at such a high that you couldn't talk about mental health when I was a kid, because it was just not something that was spoken about.
Yeah.
Now you're hearing it left and right, and sometimes it gets tossed around too easily, because, say, a person in your case is clearly someone that was diagnosed and went to the extremes and has to really be diligent and work on it to maintain, we call it like a normal lifestyle.
Daily basis.
I mean, my husband says it all the time to me, because he's a normie. He blows my mind, because I'm like, how are you able to think like that? You're so logical and normal. It's insane. My brain does not process things like that. But for me to even be at an even keel and an even playing field as him, I have to do so much more work. And that's just, I know that about myself. But what's cool is that he sees that and is very much like, wow, that's amazing that you're putting that work in. But for people listening, it's like, the shit is hard. Yeah. It's super hard. But if you are at a place, and Chad always says it all the time, and I like it, say your line when about change.
When the pain of remaining the same outweighs the fear of change, then we will change. Yeah. I just I got that from the Narcotics Anonymous big basic text.
Come on, it's yours.
No.
You wrote it.
Yeah. No. You say it 3 times, it's yours though. That's the rule to cliches, quotes. Yeah. You think all these quotes that you read, that you Google and like, Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, said, he did say it one time, but somebody probably said it before.
Where did he get it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But I just want to say that, like, can you click the camera, like, back and forth to each one of us? Like, just, this is what the face of mental health looks like. You know, that, like, we are, you know, people that struggle.
Yeah.
And this is what we look like.
Yeah.
I don't know what most people think of when they think about mental health and substance
ward
use
in a
disorder
jacket.
and a psych ward and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because and I'm going to say this on this podcast today, because we're really talking about mental health issues. You know, we had a lady who found out that she lived right around one of our mental health facilities, mental health primary, not even substance use disorder. And she started calling obsessively our one of our CMO, and then she also started calling our main line and telling us that we needed to move out of the neighborhood because, you know, we're endangering the neighborhood.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, bitch, come after me. You know, like, you don't really want to fuck with the Hopeaholics right now, because she's like threatening she was going to start protesting. I'll get a group of 1,000 people to go down and protest the other side, lady. You know, and I'm just saying this stuff because, like, suicide is real, man.
Yeah.
But
You know?
I think that's also why I'm so proud of being a part of the Infinity Group and what we're doing here on the podcast, is because for the longest time I wanted to live a secret double life where people didn't know that I worked a 12-step program or that I was an addict or alcoholic because of the stigma. You know, people don't realize that it's not always people walking around in stray jackets and being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Sure, that exists. Yeah.
But
And
they
there's-
need help too.
Yeah, and there's alcoholics and addicts that live under a bridge. Absolutely. But it's much more than that.
Yeah.
Where it's, if people are willing, like this instance is so crazy to me, because unless there was a certain event that took place that endangered a child or something of that nature, that's a different story. But you're upset because a house that exists, that nothing is going on, and you don't see any disruption. There's no
As a matter of fact, we've never had a client there.
Yeah.
which is even
That's
more,
the
that's
best
what I mean.
part
That's-
about it,
that's
man.
like
Yeah.
insane.
That's
if
the
there was
best
like
part
loud
about it.
music going on,
Right,
or
no,
like
no.
something that was causing a
You're just
issue.
here doing good. Like, what's
Yeah, we're just
No,
out
the house
helping the
just
community.
exists.
Yeah.
This house is a house that like Chad said, it exists, and there hasn't been a patient in that house yet. So there's no commotion even going on.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's very interesting that this person wanted to be upset that I guess they must have recently found out that it exists.
This is how I think they found out, right? Because I think I know who it is. I'm pretty sure I know who it is. So it's one of the neighbors. I'm not going to say which house or anything, but I believe, you know, she lives in one of the houses right next door. She's kind of weird. I mean, when I say weird, I mean she's kind of like nosy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter and I were at the house one day, and she came up and was like, "Oh, are you the new tenants in the house?" And we were like, "Yeah." This was months ago, before as we were getting it set up to get it licensed for mental health. So anyways, we left, and we don't have clients there, so we have a note on the door that says, "Call this number if you show up," because the state can show up anytime.
Yeah, yeah.
Just to do a check
Yeah.
on the house. Then they need to have a phone number to contact to
gosh.
reach somebody. So she probably came over.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
She probably came over to meet this somebody that's currently just keeping an eye on the house for us, and probably saw the note. She's probably bringing some cookies over.
Yeah,
Thought it was
right.
and saw the note on the door.
Called.
Yeah, after she'd been drinking some wine in her backyard,
Her
with
nightgown.
her husband in her nightgown. Yeah.
Their Uggs on.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
that's
what happened.
exactly how it happened.
Hey.
And then she saw the note, and she was like, "Fuck this! I'm not
Yeah.
giving them cookies now."
Maybe she's unaware that she has some mental health issues.
Maybe.
that she's
You know, and
dealing
that's
with. You
usually-
never
That's
know.
usually what it is.
That's
and that's
usually
also,
what it is.
Yes.
But please don't come attack us,
No,
because
don't-
I'm
no,
breaking
no
the
need.
stigma. I'm
No
breaking the
Yes.
stigma that, like, we are the face of mental health, man. And if you think that it looks any different, take what you could take some of the craziest looking people on the streets right now, get them cleaned up, get them the help that they deserve, You know, I like to use the word deserve because it's not just a need. They deserve to get help. They'll look just like us, man.
Yeah.
You know? And we forget about that. And there's this crazy stigma that, you know, mental health is bad. And, you know, substance use disorder falls under a mental health
course.
diagnosis.
Of course.
So some people would say diagnoses.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know how to say it correctly, so I just say whatever.
I think mental health is the greatest human rights issue of this or any time. It affects everyone, everywhere, all the time. And the way it's looked at, let's just look at it fiscally. You would save the government and the country billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
If companies fixed their mental health crises at work, they would save their organizations millions upon millions of dollars. And we're looking at it backwards. We're looking at it like it's an ailment that some people have that we don't need to deal with. We all need to deal with it. We all need to take care of it. And I don't think stigma is a strong enough word. It's pure and simple discrimination. And I have a bone to pick. Not a bone to pick, but the word mental has a negative connotation all by itself. Who in this room would love to be labeled mental for the rest of your life? Right. So let's call it what it is. It's a brain health issue.
For sure.
It's a brain health disorder, brain health challenge, brain struggle. Your brain is tangible. If they're cutting you open for brain surgery, they're going to touch it. That makes it real as the hand in front of my face. Let's make it real with everyone. Let's tell people that we need to get our brain health together because everybody's got a brain. Everybody's got to take care of it.
You know who talks about that, brain health?
Dr. Amen.
Dr. Amen.
I like it because he doesn't like the word mental health. He likes, I believe his coin phrase is working on like your mental fitness.
Yeah.
I think, or brain fitness.
Brain fitness.
Maybe it's
he doesn't use mental at all.
Yeah, he doesn't. Huh?
Yeah.
I use it to describe what it could be, but and I'm not afraid to use it. But I think at some point we need to transition.
I like it because I don't really like using mental health because now it's just getting thrown out there so much because it's just this. I don't know. It's weird, but I like brain.
Well,
fitness.
Here's the thing, though. Everybody suffers from some type of a brain issue. You know, including the lady in the neighborhood who's stirring up. She's obviously got.
She's going through something.
Something.
Yeah.
She's got her own issues and
she's
her
obviously
own
angry.
struggles. Angry for sure,
come on.
man. And we need to pray for those people too.
Yeah, we do.
My only funny part is when we change things, which I don't mind, right? But then can we let it not trigger us?
Yeah, I don't want to trigger anybody. That's why I'm okay with using both. But I think we need to have at least have the conversation about discrimination because that's what it is.
If they're discriminating,
and brain health because that's what it is. Because it's physical, it's tangible.
And these are, they are real. These are real. Bipolar is a real diagnosis. It's a real issue inside of the brain.
Yeah.
That needs to be treated on a daily basis, just like our substance use disorder that her and I suffer from. Which I suffer from pain too, man, and I suffer from trauma, and I also suffer from a brain that wants me dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
that's what I like when you say that you suffer from. You said it in one of our first podcasts, and I was like, oh yeah. I need to start saying that. Because
I suffer from the thing that's in between my ears is what I always say. I suffer from low self-esteem. I suffer from horrible thoughts.
Yeah.
I suffer from negativity.
Like crazy,
Man. And that's why I don't fill myself with any of that crap because I have enough of it without putting more of it in my mind. So that's why I put positivity in my mind. I do positive motivational videos. I do books on leadership, books on self-help, anything that will feed your mind. But I'm also really recent into the importance of not only feeding stuff through my ears, but the stuff that I put in my
Yes.
mouth
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, it's crucial.
I'm a huge advocate for what you put into your body really does play a major difference in. There's a correlation for the nutrition to your brain as
Major.
For sure.
Your gut to brain health is symbiotic.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
there's a physiological connection. Your gut houses all your serotonin and
Yep.
dopamine, and when you're that's why when my birth parents fed me Kool-Aid, Coca-Cola, and sour milk
Yeah.
as an infant, my brain was broken from birth,
Yeah.
and my gut was broken from birth,
Sure.
and like to revert back from that and to get past that has been very, very difficult. I'm not playing the victim. I'm saying like I have a really hard time with food and I mean I haven't said this publicly ever. But
Another exclusive on
but
the
yeah,
books.
I think I have a food addiction, and it's like I know. Pardon me. That was-
I thought it was Shane. Don't worry. I was totally thinking it was Shane.
belch on the show. No, I'll have periods where I'll eat only anti-inflammatory foods for a really long time, and then I'll revert back to eating foods that poison my brain. And when I did this too much, I was in 2018. I think partially because of the food I was eating, partially because of one of the medications that my new doctor had given me was poisoning my organs. I became so inflamed that I had bloody blisters from head to toe, secondary burns everywhere, without a fire. One of the medications had poisoned my organs, and it was having an equally poisoning effect with the foods I was eating. And I ended up having excruciating physical pain, feeling like knives and needles were coming from my bones to my skin everywhere for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 38 weeks. It was brutal. They had to take me off all psych meds in one day, 24 hours. I had a 48-hour withdrawal-based psychosis. I saw the answers to the universe, man.
Wow.
It was wild. It was wild. I saw Gandhi, the king of Bhutan,
Oh my God.
Buddha. I saw 40 busts of Jesus in every ethnicity you can imagine, speaking every language in the world. I understood it all.
Damn, that sounds like
Yeah.
me and a meth
No,
induced
no, I
psychosis.
saw-
Better.
I saw-
Better.
I saw-
No, it's
I
about
saw-
the same.
No.
I saw everything.
Oh, I've seen all that. I could speak all languages.
No, you get it.
I was chipped.
Come
I
on,
was
no,
chipped.
right? Come on,
Yeah,
you
Google.
understand- you
I could just
Yeah.
whatever fucking.
No, you were teleporting.
No, dude, I was teleporting. Yeah, all that. This is great.
But just the struggle with food for me has been a long going issue, and I have no excuses, but I do struggle with it, and I guess I should be more honest about it. Talk
You
more
just
about
were,
it.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
nice. You just
yeah.
open up the can
For
of worms,
sure.
baby.
I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like I can say the same thing, man.
Same. So can I.
You can. These two can attest to my ice cream addiction that I had for, and I mean, I finally, I'm on a new plan
Yeah,
because of all the inflammation that I was having in my
it's the
gut.
inflammation, and
It was bad.
Destroy your
It's-
brain.
It's killing
Yeah,
me.
Yeah,
I
And
can
your
ta-
body.
I
Yeah.
have been feeling so the past 3 weeks, probably a little bit more than 3 weeks. I jumped on the Gary Brecka train.
yeah,
You know Gary Brecka?
yeah. He's incredible.
Yeah. So I jumped on that train. I think what was in your package? No, it wasn't for you.
Yeah, it was.
It was a
It
thing.
was your thing.
we'll
Yeah,
be
it was
doing
Oh,
it
nice.
after.
We got our DNA stuff. We're gonna do that. We're
Oh,
gonna,
good.
Yeah.
do
I
our,
think I have to do it.
yeah, we're gonna do our DNA
Yeah.
test live
But it's super.
on the internet.
It's super important because I went through bouts of the same exact thing. I think maybe, I don't know if there's a correlation. I don't know. In the sense of playing competitive, I don't know what it is, but food has always been something where, I mean, I'm Mexican-Italian, that's what we do. We
Yeah,
eat a ton. We eat when we're celebrating and we eat when we're not celebrating. So it's like food is huge. But for a while, that was kind of what my husband and I, food is my love language.
Yeah.
So I like light up if he makes me something, or if it's like, yes, cheat day, because that's what we used to do.
Yeah.
And then I struggled so much with, I was having so much pain and throughout my entire body, but I wasn't injured. It would hurt to sneeze. Like my back was so bad.
Wow.
And then I would wind up in the hospital because my stomach something was wrong all the time where I did not know. I thought I was like dying.
I
or
feel you. I so
Yeah.
many gut health issues.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was having an appendicitis. My
Yeah.
stomach was super distended.
Yeah.
So there was many trips to the ER, and then finally I got my blood work done and asked. But once again, this is where our healthcare. I'm a huge component of you have to be your own advocate.
You
so
do.
sure enough, I went on Google like a crazy person because I was tired of feeling like this. And then this was in 2021, and I was back on and on WWE, and I'm like, oh my God, please, don't let me have a situation for Monday Night Raw, you know, because you're wearing literally like a bikini.
Yeah.
And then finally, so I after
Kind of situation.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you get it.
My
You get
stomach,
it.
no,
You get
being
it.
distended, my stomach being
Yeah.
distended.
Oh, you're looking big.
Yeah, just
Oh, I
not feeling good to actually physically go
I
out
was
there and
thinking diarrhea
perform
or something.
because my head
that
would
would
be.
suck.
That would
Like,
suck.
I wonder if that's ever happened.
Wow, can you imagine?
sure it
Trying to
has.
let a little gas, and next thing you load up your
Oh, I don't know about that. That's a
bathing
little
suit?
insane. I don't know if anyone's shit their pants. So if that's
I'm
what
just
you're
saying.
saying.
That's what we're asking. Has
Yeah.
anybody shit their pants?
I've seen that happen in Greco-Roman wrestling.
Oh, you have.
Yeah, but not.
Not in the WWE.
I haven't seen it in the WWE.
One of the guys in his white tights.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
no.
Can you imagine?
That'd be terrible.
In a singlet. It was bad.
Oh no!
And my buddy was wrestling him, and I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be bad."
I mean,
gonna be
he
really
was
bad.
probably trying to make weight and took a laxative.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. He did. The kid was taking laxative.
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
See, like it's really
God,
crazy.
all these
Really
unhealthy,
unhealthy. Really unhealthy.
all these unhealthy sports,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
No good.
Yeah.
I know.
no good.
It
You
is.
just look. There's such defined proof in the statement. Moderation is everything. If you moderate what you eat and how you eat and when you eat it, and you include, it's like the 80-20 rule.
I mean,
You
for
know,
sure. And
80% of the time you're eating anti-inflammatory meals, most days, you're going to be in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not. I don't believe in that whole restrictive
yeah.
bullshit.
You
Like,
can't
it's not-
tell me that Gary
no.
Brecken never goes and has an In-N-Out burger when he comes to California.
Well,
I mean, like,
I'm
what
not,
the?
I'm not going to speak for Gary Brecken. That guy's on a whole nother level. But I'm gonna for me, I'm not gonna hold myself back my whole life from enjoying the things that
No, because then
taste
this
like
is-
butter.
No, because you know what?
Yeah.
What
Well,
happens
you
doing
want-
that? What happens doing that is what I used to do. So I would restrict myself because whatever is going on,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden I can't do it anymore, and then I'm like a
you
lunatic,
yeah,
and then I'm
yeah.
like this crazy binge
Yeah.
eating maniac, and then
It's
I'm
so
like
bad.
I binge so bad where I make myself sick.
Yeah.
Where it's like, what did I just do to
Yeah.
myself? Because now I'm miserable.
And we're all in some sense in the public eye. I think it's important for us to not shame people who are like deep into eating disorders, because eating the level of people that die by suicide who live with eating disorders
Oh yeah.
is not outnumbered. It's wild, and it's very scary. And I think that I just want to be a person that says, look, I've lived there, I've been in that situation, I've lived that life, I've done it more than once, and I'm trying to get back to a safer place.
Oh, for
better
sure.
place.
And not only that, but it's like I always tell people, especially when they're coming to me and wanting to tighten up their nutrition or working out, I always say, depending on where you're at, if this is your first attempt into doing it, take it slow. So
Yeah.
if you're working out for the first time, all I want you to do is, I tell my parents this, but walk 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all I want you to do.
Yeah.
Is just walk 30 minutes a day. And then if your diet is shit, all I want you to do is
Remove one thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Just one.
Because
Yeah.
if you try to do too much, usually it doesn't work out and you're not able to accomplish that goal. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck it.
Or you lose the 5 pounds. You like, you can do it for a week
Yeah.
and you lose the 5 pounds, but then you binge
Yeah.
and then it goes.
and then it goes to
Yes.
shit and you're worse than you were before.
Yeah.
But
It's
what
better
I will,
taking
what
it
I will
at-
tell you, because we got sidetracked with the shitty pants thing, is what happened to me is after my last bout in the ER, after getting my blood work done, I wanted to test for autoimmune diseases.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, it came back positive, and I tested positive for celiac disease.
Yeah.
And so once I removed all
Gluten,
wheat
dairy.
and gluten.
Yep.
And dairy, not so much.
Okay.
Dairy, I'm okay with.
Okay.
It was mainly the gluten and wheat
Yeah.
from my diet here because all of our stuff is not real. So
Yeah.
like when I go to
Poison.
other countries, I can have bread and I
Yeah.
can have pasta and
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm good.
Yeah.
But here, it severely like poisons my body.
Yeah.
And after I did that and removed that one piece from my diet, which I thought was going to be like life shattering because I love all those types of
Yeah.
food. But not only did it decrease my inflammation, just the basic little things of me, I can sneeze and not
Wow.
be so concerned about sneezing, which was nuts. Like I would have to hunch over and hold my knees so that I could sneeze. That's how
Wow. That's
inflamed
really
I
bad.
was, which was terrible. And then my stomach issues
Gone.
gone, insane. And I did lose a good amount of weight as well, but I think it was just because of the inflammation.
Yeah.
So that could be something that you maybe look into as well if you struggle with like some stomach stuff
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
I was doing so well. I had removed dairy, gluten, refined sugar from my
Oh, okay.
diet for 6 months after I had the burns, and I was I felt the best I'd felt my whole life, physically, mentally, emotionally, the whole nine. And then I mean, for lack of a better way of saying it, I gave into it.
Of course,
And-
it's easy because it's
and-
good and yummy, and then
and you
it
fiend
triggers
for those
something
things
into your brain.
Chemically, you fiend for them.
Literally,
It's-
sugar is
it's addiction.
addictive. Yeah.
So it's time to make a change, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited for you.
Well, let's move on. Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah. This is book number 3.
Wow.
It's the second in a series of broken books. So the first book was Cracked, Not Broken, Surviving and Thriving After a Suicide Attempt. This book is The Art of Being Broken, How Storytelling Saves Lives. It's more about not being broken, but how to live in an unbroken, how to live with broken thoughts and become unbroken. The third book is called Unbroken. This book is really special because I wanted to share the stories of other people. And so I found some friends of mine that I'm working with on and off in the field of suicide prevention and mental health. 3 of them are from Australia in the book. They tell their story in the book, and they're contributing authors, and the other 4 are from America, and they're incredible storytellers in their own right, and they've all triumphed over immense adversity in all different kinds of ways, from things like surviving sexual assault to surviving the loss of their parents to drugs, to surviving. One of them survived the Iraq War, and sarcoma, Ewing sarcoma cancer. I mean, the stories are unbelievable, and they're powerful, and they're palpable. And I wanted to give a platform to these individuals because I love them so much, and their friendship means the world. And I also retell a little bit of my story. And I tell the story from when the last book ended, 2013, till now, because a lot of things have happened since then. So that story about the physical pain, that whole story is all in there. The story about Margaret's love story is in there. And right now we're taking the love story from that Margaret and I have together, and we're making a feature narrative film from that. So that's going to be exciting. But yeah, so it's a book that if you are in pain of any kind, it will change your life. It will change your life. It'll change your perception. It'll change your perspective, and it'll change your life. There's no doubt in my mind.
And people can get it Amazon?
The best way to get it is just to go to my IG at Kevin Hines Story and click the link in bio.
Amazing. I love it.
Click the link in the bio. Yeah. All right, man. This was an amazing podcast.
You're awesome.
Thank you.
You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Opening up your mouth, sharing. I mean, clearly you were setting the stage very young because you took the, theater kid and being able, because public speaking is hard. And
Yeah,
then
it
being
is.
able to open your mouth and tell your story is hard. And to have it, translate and touch people and make them feel something is very difficult. So I'm sure your parents are incredibly proud of you from 19 to where you are today, and I think it's awesome.
My father likes to say, Kevin, you've come a long way from under the Golden Gate Bridge.
He has a sense of humor.
He does.
I
He
like
does.
it. I like
Patty,
it.
I call him Patty Jabberjowls. Oh, God, I said that on the podcast.
I call I'm going to tell you what I call my mom. Her name's Penny, and her middle name is Pincher. penny pincher,
I love that. That's amazing.
That's great.
right? She likes to save that.
If you could say something to one of our, whoever is listening, who is struggling
Yeah.
right now, what would that be?
Okay. I got you. Stop. Take a breath with me right now. In 4, hold 4, out 8. Do that 20 to 40 more times. Pause. Just because you're in a world of pain today doesn't mean you don't get to have that beautiful tomorrow. But you have to be here to get there in the first place. Suicide doesn't take the pain away. It makes it utterly impossible for things to ever get better. And they will. With hard work, time, effort, and energy, you'll find hope and things will change. Keep going. We need you.
Bang.
That was like,
I love this guy.
Huh? It flickered? They did? Oh, nice.
that was
That was great.
fantastic. Clearly, this isn't your first rodeo. My goodness. Yeah, that was awesome. So,
I love your laugh too, man. It's hilarious. Great.
yeah.
Good time, man.
Thank you,
really
guys.
good
Thank you,
time.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.